Well, good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be with you. I am so excited. I was hardly sleeping last night. I've never done a book launch before. I've launched other things, but I am so pleased to be with you. I'm assuming, and I can see actually Stephen down there for our interview, that you can actually hear me. So that is wonderful. I think he's waving at me to say, yes, you can hear me. Is that right, Stephen? You can hear me. Well, that is great news. It's good to know that you can hear me and that you can see me. Thank you so much for joining me. I am absolutely delighted to have this opportunity to share with you some tried and some tested and some proven ideas on how you can make even more money by understanding this, that money is the silent applause for a job well done and value delivered to other people. We're going to be talking a lot about money today. I want to make things absolutely clear. This is never about ripping anybody off. This is always about being rightfully, regularly, richly rewarded. That was a nice bit of alliteration there, for the value that we deliver to other people and for what I call the cascading impact we have in the world. So the purpose of this launch meeting is to share with you some key ideas on how we get rightfully rewarded, how we get that impact, and how we get rewarded regularly for that. And I'm going to go through various ideas for you on that. So if you are ready to get going, and I'm certainly ready to get going to talk all about paid, here it is. I'm so excited about this. Fantastic. All about paid. Please put in the chat box a capitalized yes with an exclamation mark behind it, and we will get going. And I'm looking at the chat box there. Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Delighted to have you all here. This is just wonderful. Brilliant stuff. And from all over the place as well. And names I do know and names I don't know. That is just wonderful. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you an overview about paid and how it came about. I'm going to give you details of the opportunities that I'm seeing in the marketplace for all of us fellow professionals. I'm going to share some of the tried and tested and real world ideas with you so you can take them away and use them from today. And over the last few days, I was saying in my various emails to you that I was going to talk about what causes price objections. I'm going to give you my take on that, how we can add extra value for our clients, how we can master the art and science of pricing, how we can craft magnetic titles. I'm going to talk about some of these and give you some examples, and how we can raise our fees, both for new clients, but also how we can raise them for current clients without scaring them away and making them not want to deal with us, and how we can attract what I call those love to work with clients. I'm going to show you some of the templates that I've created that actually some of these actually come with in this template pack, come with paid. And I'm going to put you all of these ideas into action and I'll answer any questions that you've got. So here's a thought. If you've got a question, you put it in the chat box. I'm not going to try and answer them as we go along, unless Rachel, my PA, and Rachel and I have worked together now for, I think it is 32 years. So we share the brain cell, as you know. So if you've got a question, start off your chat with a Q, capitalized Q. So when Rachel's scrolling down there, she can see them. If she thinks it's a question I should answer in the moment, then she'll interrupt me. She'll come online and she'll interrupt me and ask me about it. If not, then we'll leave them to the end and then we can talk about them then. So I'm going to be sharing all of those things. And then in about 40 minutes time, Stephen Dan, a seriously successful businessman and business consultant, is going to be interviewing me and asking me some serious questions. Stephen is what I call a serial author. He and I were talking about how to write a business book, and he took the idea away, but he didn't write one. He wrote 3 at the same time and then brought them all straight out. I mean, just fantastic stuff. Talk about an action man. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from Stephen and the question that he wants to ask me. So let's talk about what's happening in the market at the moment. I've done some research about this to share these ideas with you to get us kicked off. And I'm going to read them because I've got my notebook here. I don't know what you do this. What I do is I create for myself, even though it's only just for me, and you can see it's got a shiny cover, I create notes for what I want to talk about whenever I'm doing a webinar or seminar, where it might be. And so these are all my notes here. And so occasionally I'm going to read to you because I want to get the information absolutely right. The business coaching market is not just growing, it's booming. In 2019, it was valued at $11.6 billion worldwide, and it's soaring to $20.9 billion by 2030, according to the research. PwC even lists it as the world's second fastest growing sector. So we're not jumping on a bandwagon here. We're actually riding the wave of what is a thriving industry. And the UK is a strong contender in that. Let me just move that keyboard out of the way. 55,000 self-employed consultants out of 175 strategy and management consultants in the UK. And more people are embracing the idea of this flexibility. There's 370,000 coaching professionals on LinkedIn. And the UK is not playing small. We're a big fish in a big pond. Let's look at that value proposition that's happening in the market at the moment. So if you're an executive looking for coaching, what is the price tag? What is it that you have to pay to get good quality coaching? Well, it's from anything to about 500 to 1,475 per 2-hour session, with a mean average of just over £1,000, about £1,100. Most business coaches can charge between £100 and £2,000 an hour. And that is out there in the marketplace. It is a high value marketplace, and return on investment is fantastic. There's some companies have said that they've got a 788% ROI. And the average ROI from executive coaching, 6 times. I mean, we are in the right place at the right time. So let me give you a bit of the backstory about paid and tell you all about it. And I won't spend too long on that, because I want to get into sharing some of these ideas from paid with you so you can take these away and use it. So I actually started in business. I know it doesn't look at all possible. 50 years ago, I started in business. And then over that time, I've been so frustrated since I sold my business and started doing this business, which was helping people succeed. So I've been doing this for 30 years, of how massively under-rewarded most of the people, I say that considerately, most of the people that I've dealt with over the years, when I first dealt with them, were massively under-rewarded for the value they were delivering, because they were delivering immense value. And so here, all of these here are my publications. They're not all of my publications, but all of these are my publications, if that makes sense. I've got an awful lot more. I probably need another 2 or even 3 shelves to stack them all on. And so I've been making those over the last 30 years. I've done lots of study on how things work when it comes to charging for value. So none of the ideas I'm going to share with you is any BS from lecture land. It's stuff that I've used, I've tried it, I've tested it, I've proven it for myself, I've taught it to my clients, and they've taken it away and used it, and they've come back. And I'm going to share some testimonials with you later on. So if you have any question at all, always put those in the chat box, proceeding with a Q, and then if Rachel thinks I should answer them straight away, she'll tell me, and if not, we'll answer them at the end. I also mentioned to you there's going to be a prize draw. And in fact, there's going to be 10 prize draws. So I think to say thank you for being here so promptly, I think we should start with one now. So here we go. This is a Kindle Fire. It's brand new. It's in the box. I haven't even opened it. In fact, I'm not going to open it, so it becomes absolutely brand new. It's the HD 10 Kindle Fire. I think they're about towards £100. And I tell you how I was going to do the prize draw. We were laughing about this in the team yesterday. I got on my phone yesterday a random letter generator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click it. It's going to give me a letter. And then Rachel is going to scroll down the list of the names of people who are here, including you. And she's going to pick the first person whose first name or surname begins with that letter, and they will get this Kindle Fire. So here we go. I'll do it live so you can see it. And it is V. So okay. Rachel, off you go. And you'll let us know the first V. Can you announce that person, please?
There isn't anybody with a V.
I'm doing another one then. Here we go. M.
David Minchin.
David Minchin, fantastic. David Minchin. I know that Rachel's actually got your email address, David. So your address, if you haven't got your physical address, she'll contact you. So that will be winging its way to you. We'll do some more of those later. Let's talk about, so we get straight into this, and I deal with this in great detail in paid, why price objections happen, in my opinion. This is how it works. And there's a number of things that happen. When it comes to objections generally in the buying, selling process, then there's a timing issue. And with objections, I believe there's 4 times, and I've proved this over many, many years. We can answer an objection before it's raised, at the time it's raised, later, or never. So it's before, now, later, never. Before, now, later, never. My preferred option is to handle it before it's even raised, because I believe that most objections, particularly price objections, are created by what we don't say earlier rather than what we do say at the time of saying what we say. You may know an expression of mine, which is, it's what you say before you say what you mean to say that makes a difference. Let me say that again for you. It's what you say before you say that makes a difference. And it's also what you do before you do that also makes a difference. So if you put the two together, it's what you say and do before you say and do what you really mean to say and do that really makes the difference. And this is so true when it comes to price objections. It's how we deal with it before it even comes into consciousness. Because when somebody raises an objection, effectively they dig a hole in the ground and they jump in. And before we can even answer the objection, we've got to get them back to level ground, and then we've got to deal with it. That's hard. So we need to deal with it first. The second problem that we have is dealing with the wrong clients. And by the wrong clients, you know who I mean. It's those sort of clients, it doesn't matter what you do, they're not happy paying the price. Or I have it this way. If you deal with people where the relationship is great, all the major problems become minor. If you deal with people where that doesn't work, all the minor problems become major. Who are we going to deal with? I have this wonderful expression. I've used it all my life. And people who know me well will know I'm about to say this. And it's 4 letters. And I would like you to carve this on your memory. And it's this DDWT. And it strongly says, don't deal with tossers. Now, you know who I mean by that, right? And I've had people who've been offended by that. But, you know, you've got to tell the truth in life. I mean, we don't deal with tossers. You know who I mean. We've got to be dealing with the right people. And when we're dealing with the right people are ready, willing, and able to pay you for the value that you deliver to them. The next bit is, and I've got a document on this to share with you. In fact, I have this template pack. And as part of paid, when you get paid, isn't that great ambiguity? When you get paid, the paid book, you're also going to get my template pack. All right, it's a download template pack, but one of the templates in there is a document I created way back in 1984, and it still works today, all these years later, called the client conversation document. And it's how we use that to gather the right information. And by gathering the right information, what happens is we then diminish the likelihood that objections will be raised. So we're not gathering enough is the problem. And then the final one in this bit, and I could talk about this all day long. In fact, it's a bit like this. Can you imagine that with the paid book and the ideas I want to share with you, there's 297 ideas. That's a pack of cards, 297 deep. And in the time we've got together today, I can't possibly deal all those cards, and I certainly wouldn't have time to talk about them all. But I've selected a few of the cards, you know, the Ace of Spades, the 7 of Diamonds, the King of Hearts, etc., to share those with you. And this one about dealing with objections is a key card. Is it the Joker? It could be the Joker, or maybe that's me. So the other problem is not using contrast. Here's the expression I wrote. As you know, I write expressions for everything. Without contrast, everything sounds expensive or cheap. And the problem is we don't know which it is. And therefore, before we state any price of anything, anywhere, at any time, we must create contrast first. It's what you say before you say what you mean to say. So take this away, please, and use this. Get the timing right. Are you going to handle the objection before, now, later, or never? You're just going to ignore it because it's a spurious objection, right? Some people just object because it's the way they communicate. Or are we going to spend more time gathering? And certainly, if you get paid, you also get the client document. This is my personal one, the one that I just showed you there, that one. That's my personal version. I've put it in there for you so you can copy it and create one that's appropriate and relevant to what it is that you do and the information that you share or the services that you share with your clients. Not using contrast. So how can we use that contrast? Well, we can contrast to the value that we deliver. What is the price of that value to somebody? Or we can contrast the time that it would take them to learn it somewhere else. Or we can contrast it to a different somebody they might learn that from. So we must use that contrast. Let me talk about the book and what's happened and the story behind it. Then I'll talk to you about magnetic titles. So I decided that I was so frustrated. In fact, we're starting a thing short and it's called this. It's called, and we've got the website, The Paid Revolution, because I am determined to make sure that as we know, a rising tide lifts all ships. That as many people as I can reach, I can show them how to deliver value, because it's all about value. And therefore, because of that, money's a silent applause, remember, to get appropriately rewarded for the value and the cascading impact that they have. So that's why I wanted to write this book in the first place. And we went through a variety of iterations of the title, but I finally came up with Paid. And when I share with you this one, the magnetic titles, then I'll give you a couple of examples so you can have some ideas to title your free reports, your books, your programs, your services, whatever it might be. So the design, and my son David, who works with me, has worked with me for over 10 years, does all our design stuff. He does branding, his websites. He's very good on the psychological side of marketing and sales. He came up with this. And when he showed it me, I said, oh, I know what this bit here is, Dave. That's my head. Is that how you designed it? Is that the top of my head that you decided that was going to be? And obviously I'd been out in the sun too long, but I thought that was a good idea. And then I don't know about you, I love this using verbs with an S on the end, because I once learned that some years ago in a marketing book where somebody was selling a piano organ, and one of the subheads said, put more music in your life. And the author was discussing this, and he said they changed it and improved results by changing it to puts more music in your life. In other words, it was changing it from the first person imperative, a command, put more music in your life, to the third person indicative, which was puts more music in your life. In other words, it becomes a benefit. So isn't that wonderful? I could have said revealed, but I didn't. I said reveals the 10 secrets of being richly rewarded for the value. See, we're back to value again. So that was what that was all about. This is where it came from. And I decided I wanted to share my tried and tested and proven ideas with people so they can get paid. This is what we did. Let's talk about titles. Right. Titles. You're going to get a copy of this. It's a report that I did of 17 different styles of titles, right? There's 17 different styles of titles. And Rachel is going to send you an email after the launch. I'm not going to send it now because then we might get distracted. She's going to send you an email after the launch. So you can take this away straight away. Just for being here on the launch itself, you're going to get this. You don't have to get paid to do that, but obviously hope that you do get paid. But so you can think about your reports, your webinars, your services, whatever it is that you might think about titling. So I decided to go for the one-word title, paid. One of my original titles for it was Get Paid. And I'd got this two-word title running on Get Paid, but then I was researching the market and I realized there's quite a lot of single titles, but single-word titles. For example, Decisive. There's a good strapline to Decisive. It's Chip and Dan Heath, those brilliant authors of Made to Stick and various other books. So there's Decisive. There's a book called Thrive, which you may know of. And there's the latest Daniel Kahneman book, who wrote Thinking Fast and Slow, which is another type of title, by the way, called Noise. So a single word can do it, provided, of course, that either that word clearly tells you what the book is going to be about, or the service or the product, whatever it happens to be, or it tells you with the strapline what it's going to be about. So the strapline expands on that. Let me give you a couple of examples. And talking about that thinking fast and slow, the thinking fast and slow, which I've got listed in here as number, let me have a look here, number 14. This is the style of title. This is called a paraprosdokian title. That's a weird word, isn't it? Paraprosdokian. Sounds like somebody who lives in the land of Paraprosdoke, but no, it isn't. Paraprosdokian is the title. And what paraprosdokian means, it's an expression where the back end of it surprises you. Let me give you an example. History doesn't teach us who was right. It teaches us who was left. So that's a paraprosdokian. That's fantastic. It was the Groucho Marx one. I've had a wonderful evening. This wasn't it. Right, so those sorts of things, when you get that surprise ending, where there's a will, I'd love to be in it. That's a paraprosdokian. And using a paraprosdokian title is that you surprise somebody with the back end of it. So, for example, the 4-hour work week. Oh, Tim Ferriss, a 4-hour work week, right? A 4-hour work day, I thought it was going to say, but the surprise, the kicker was the week. Lead from the Outside by Stacey Abrams, Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman. So there's another one. here's the ones that there's so many books like this where you can use this for so many things, which is 3-word titles. And one of those words is a verb. So for example, built to last. What about the famous one by Simon Sinek, or Sinek, whichever you prefer as well? Start with why. His second book, which was Leaders Eat Last, is the same formula. So 3 words with a verb. So start, he did it with the first verb, start with why, and then leaders eat last. So smarter, faster, better is another title of a book. So there are some great ideas that you can take away to use for the titles of your book reports, etc. And if you're going to use the short versions, always make sure that you've got a very powerful strapline that makes the benefit that the reader is going to get or the recipient is going to get really, really clear. So if you've got any questions on that, then fantastic. You just again pop them in the chat box. But we're going to send you, Rachel will send you a copy of this report. And I say there's 17 ideas here, and I've given you examples of every single one. You know, how to, task, curiosity, PPS title, all sorts of things. So I've given you the formulas as well to go with that. So if we're talking about paid, and of course we are, who is it for? Well, it's for everybody who charges fees. Because that's what it's about. It's people like me and you who are in what I call helping industry, professionals in helping industry, where we help people either solve the problems that they've got in life, or we help people capitalize on their opportunities. And so because so many of my clients were completely undercharging, that's what I thought, I've got to solve this, so that we get this business and a life of choice. Where are we time-wise? We're doing well. I think David, and my son David's here with me, helping with all the setup and everything else. I think we should really do another prize draw. Now, this prize draw, this is one of the major prizes. There's 3 of these, and it's an hour with me on Zoom, right, where I will help you on your business. The fee for that, if I was going to do that just one-on-one, would be £1,000 for that hour. And I'm going to do that for you totally free of charge. And that is going to be for, let me get my random generator. Okay, so here it is. So Rachel, you'll get ready to scroll down and you'll find you'll find the person whose first or second name begins with K. You still there, Rach?
Yes, Kerrison.
Sorry?
Kerrison,
fantastic. I know Kerrison as well, so it's even better still. So I know more about his business. So Kerrison is the first recipient of that. So absolutely wonderful. So let's talk about, because this is another of the things that people often ask me about. Let's talk about how to increase fees without losing our current clients or losing qualified prospects. And I'll give you 3 ideas here of what you need to do in order to make this happen. Because one of the big challenges, as we know, is it's all right going to the marketplace with a new fee, right? But how do you deal with clients you've already got? How can you turn around to them and say, right, I was charging you £2,000 a day, and I'm now going to charge you £5,000 a day? And they go, yeah, sure, of course you will. It doesn't quite work that way, does it? So how do we do that? Okay, this is what we do. Firstly, we look at how can we add more value to our clients. Here's an expression for you. If you want a bigger pay packet, solve a bigger problem. If you want a bigger pay packet, solve a bigger problem. In other words, we start to look at our own clients to start with, and we say, what is the biggest problem they've got? What are the bigger problems that they have got that I can solve, that they're problems within the context of what I know and what I do and how I help? What is that bigger problem that demands justly a higher price tag for the value that's being delivered or the value that's being saved in some cases? So firstly, we want to be thinking about that. Secondly, we want to rename the product or service that we have, so we are indicating the transformational effect of our product or service. I'm going to say it again. We want to think about renaming the product or service that we have to the transformational effect that our product or service has. So, for example, one of my products I developed years ago was a 36 module program. There was a DVD, a video in every one. There was audio, there was workbooks, there's all sorts of stuff. It's over here, and it's called, if I can see it this way, it's called the Accelerated Business Growth System, right? So the Accelerated Business Growth System, it's got a good strap line as well. It's a bit cute, but the strap line's okay. It tells you what you're going to get. It's going to accelerate your business growth. I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? The Accelerated Business Growth System. And by the way, the word system is really powerful as well, because those people are particularly procedurally based. They like the idea of having a system that tells them the step-by-step actions to take to get the results that's indicated by the title or strapline of the program. I know I'm going quickly, but I'm sure that makes sense. So one, we can consider changing the name. However, remember, second point, we've got to add value into that. We're not just saying, right, I'm going to do the same thing and get paid more. Well, sometimes that's appropriate because we were so massively undercharging for the value that we were delivering. So how do we add more value? Again, we want to be thinking of the ideal client that we want to deal with, and we want to be crafting. And by the way, this is, I cover this for you in chapter 5, the difference between the offering and the offer. I'll go through that in massive detail for you so that you get this right. So you can attract the ideal client, and you've got the ideal offering and the ideal offer to go with it. Then your opportunity to be able to help that client obviously massively increases. And the third one, I'm just going to have a sip of my tea. The third one, and people who know me know I'm just hyper about this, and I say it strongly, we must have a deluxe version of our offering. Why? Because firstly, most people in the marketplace, of any marketplace, don't buy on price. They buy on value. There's about 10% of people who buy on price, but most people buy on value. So our value proposition must be good. And what we need to do is we need to create a deluxe version. Now, again, in chapter 4, I go through exactly how to create the deluxe version. And I also give you all the templates to create a deluxe version. And here's the thought. When you understand that one, there's another stage. And that's to create a double deluxe version. And the deluxe version is often attracting a price tag of 5 to 10 times the standard version. Why? Because it's delivering 100 times the value. I remember a client became a friend as well, Andy Skinner, and he's in the food tech industry. I remember Andy saying to us one day, he said, "Oh, I'm struggling with this," to Peter. I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I can't sell," which is rubbish because everybody can sell. You know, that's how we got our mothers to give us stuff. You know, we can all sell. And in the end, we went through and explained to Andy in great detail how to set up a deluxe and a double deluxe, which he called Diamond Plus. And I remember him coming back to one of the meetings because he was a member of one of the mentoring groups, and he went, "It works." We said, "What do you mean it works?" He said, "Well, everybody I talked to about the deluxe and double deluxe, everybody wants the double deluxe." Obviously I had to say, "Told you so," because it's the way that it works. So one way of dealing with current clients as well as new clients, where we want to increase the level of service we give them, increase the level of value that we give them, is to create for ourselves a deluxe and then maybe a double deluxe version as well. And again, all of that is explained in here when you get paid, which is fabulous. So let me talk to you about pay, because we've been going for nearly half an hour. I'd like to give you this opportunity as well, obviously, to go and get the book. And then we'll get Stephen on, and Stephen's going to ask me the questions. We did talk about questions, but I actually don't know what questions they're going to ask me. So that's going to be fun, isn't it? You know, that's going to be making sure that I'm on my mettle today. So what paid is, it's a roadmap. It's a roadmap to a future where you're not just getting by, but you're achieving the level of success that you want. Determining what that is, that might be earning a load more money. It might be becoming number one in your marketplace. It might be increasing your income so you can spend more time. Back to what I said before, it sounds a bit cute, but how can you get half the time and double the money? You know, because if you can increase the fees that you're doing, rightfully so, by the way, delivering value, then maybe you want to just work less and then you have more time with your family. And you get to choose. It's a step-by-step, no-nonsense guide to raising your fees without scaring off potential clients, as I've mentioned. It's not about costly rates. It's not about the money. It's becoming their valued advisor. That's what this is all about. with the right strategies, with the right actions, with the right words, which I go through in detail for you, you can attract those love to work with clients who are ready, willing, and able to pay you for the value, right? For me, it's all about building a business and a life of choice. I'm heavily into choice. I'm a high D character, as you probably can tell. And I like to be in control, but I'd certainly like to choose what I do with my life. I don't want somebody else saying, I can't have the day off to go and do something. That doesn't just make crazy for me. So we're not talking about any old dusty theories. These are strategies I've personally used, and I've tested them over the years. And I know for some people, you know, they're in a hard place at the moment, and I've been there. This is what happened for me. I had let's suddenly, oh, my camera's just suddenly, oh, just gone back again. Wonder what that was. Did that flash? Oh, well, I'm back again. And I had an investigation business. I was a private investigator, a private dick for many years, and I sold that business. Then I had a leasing business, which I sold after 5 years for £4.2 million. And I sold it to a stock exchange company, and they gave me £1 million in cash and 3.2 million in shares. Unfortunately, the shares fell out the sky. And they went from £2.42 to 16p while I was under a restrictive covenant and couldn't sell them. Cost me £3 million of the 4.2. And people said to me, but what about the million that was left? I said, oh, yeah, sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Well, of course, there's 400,000 in tax, so that goes. And of course, being sensible and listening to advice, I bought property. So what happened to property in the 1990s? So I had to go back to zero. I had to absolutely go back to zero and start again. And that's when I went, you know, there's got to be a better way than this. And so I started to create informational products. And everybody said to me, you no point doing that, Peter. You're British. All the presenters are American. People don't listen to British people. Anyway, I decided to ignore that advice. And here we are with hundreds and hundreds of products since. So, okay, that stuff worked then, but does it work now? It absolutely works now. And I have got here, if I go into my slides, oh, it worked. Here's my slide. We talked about magnetic titles, right? Here are some testimonials so that you know this stuff doesn't just work for me. It works for other people. And I believe 100% it can work for you. So I might read some of them if they're short. So that's for the recording. The longer ones we'll have to read. So this is Sylvia Snowling from SDLT Claims. Pay very close attention to what Pete has to say. One of his insights alone has had a profound effect on my business. Turnover before I met Peter, £79,672. 1 year later, £267,172. And in the second year, £384,442. And that's from implementing just one of Peter's ideas, suggestions. If you feel you're not being rewarded sufficiently for your efforts, you must read paid. Thank you, Sylvia. All right, absolutely right. Yes, the physical copy is available. We're going to be talking about that because the physical copy, which has been mentioned, comes with all these extra bonuses, which I'm just going to tell you about. Okay, so the next slide, Steve Neal. Working with Peter over a period of 18 months, I created additional profits of 100,000 using his ideas through Peter's invaluable, informal and fun mentoring, because I'm a bit crazy. And I have a video program, the Limbic Performance System, which has changed my life. I no longer need to train unless I want to. And LPS made around 250,000 in just 1 year from the launch, right? And which is now being applied by users in 40 countries and generating income of around £1 million in direct and blended learning. Wowee, right? A couple more. Working with Peter over a period of 18 months, created additional profits, 100,000. Wonderful stuff. That's a bit of a long one. The key thing that I'll leave that for a moment while I just have a swig of my tea. I won't try and read it out for you. You can just have a quick read of that. Oh, that's nice tea. Red bush tea with brown sugar. I love red bush tea with brown sugar.
Peter,
Okay,
there's
so,
one
yeah.
question, if you don't mind me jumping in. Omar said, what makes the content different to what you've shared before?
Oh, that's a great question, Omar. Right, what it is I've taken my content. You won't have seen all of this content. You'll have seen some of the content before, but I go deeper and I provide more of the templates and more of the ideas and more of the examples to make it easier for you to use. And then in chapter number 10, what I've done is this, because I know you need to create a lead magnet by putting content out there in the marketplace, I've actually created chapter 10 as though I was creating a lead magnet. I've used my formula for lead magnet to create the words in the chapter. And so when you read that chapter, you'll discover exactly how you also take that and use a lead magnet for your own business. So there's many, many different ways. And I have to say this as well. It's the Heraclitus quote, isn't it? No man can step in the same river twice because it's not the same river and he's not the same man. And I have to say, when I even listen to my own audio programs, which I'm sorry to say I do, I hear stuff and I go, I don't remember even writing it, let alone recording it. Right? I don't know if you find that's true. I go into books that I've read before and I go, I don't remember reading this. Because what happens is this, and I learned this from Earl Nightingale on Lead the Field, which is this one, by the way, which was the first audio program I ever had, which was this, Lead the Field. Let me come off that slide for a second, come back to me. So there's that. And then this was the first program I actually voiced for Nightingale Conant. There's a young me with a suit and tie, would you believe, and a bit more hair. And I actually revoiced this for the UK market for Nightingale Conant. And Earl Nightingale said, when you hear an idea, it's almost as if the needle comes off the record and your mind plays with that idea and you don't get the next bit that happens. And that's the same when you're reading a book. So I think that's really what is the answer to the way that works. Yeah. Okay. Does that make sense? I'm sure it does. Yeah, good. So going back to those slides for a moment or two. So that was Koshi. Guy said he applied the techniques he learned from Peter for his membership program, because one of the things I urge people, one of the ways to get paid is to run a subscription or membership program. He's making another 4,000 a month. So the other thing I wanted to mention there is the fact there's no waiting period with paid. Let me come back to me. There's no waiting period with paid. You can dive in straight away and start using these methods. You can test them immediately. So you can test your particular marketplace. And of course, the longer you wait, the more you lose. So coming back to those slides, how much have people lost? Because this was what was driving me, as you know, I'm in business, but what was driving me was how much have people lost? I thought that the average consultant, particularly, was losing at least £500 every client day. And if they were doing 100 days a year, £50,000 a year. Now, okay, for some people, it was only £10,000 a year. And for others, it was £100,000 a year. But it was, you know, in that middle place, £50,000 a year. And if they've been in business for 5 years, that they've thrown away, they've sacrificed, they've lost £250,000. And what would that have made the difference? Now, again, this is not about charging clients the wrong fee. It's about delivering value and being rewarded for that value. But what about the next 5 years? And that's really what I was saying there. So what is it that creates this change? I'll tell you. Right? The answer, and there's two major answers, and you're going to pull my leg for doing this. Page 3 and page 112, I explain in detail what those two shifts are in thinking and activity that makes this come together. Because look, I'm not asking to reinvent the wheel. These are little changes that create massive, big effects. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter, right? So let me tell you about come back to this one, and then I can tell you about this, show you how to get paid, and then we'll get Stephen on. So these are the bonuses and templates that you're going to get. The first one is you're going to get the template pack I showed you. How much is this worth? I don't know. I don't know, because when I go to webinars and seminars and things, I see people put values on bonuses and I go, what? There's no way you can call it that price. So I don't know how much it is. I think it's worth a fortune, but you get it free anyway, whatever the price is. And there's a couple of them. There's the WHAM document and there's the client conversation document, which for me are just essential. The WHAM document keeps you on track to achieving your goals. Then there's the 4 golden questions of business growth. Here's the physical one. Here's the actual one here. And in here, what I've compiled over all the years is 355 ideas that answer those 4 questions. 162 ways to get more clients, 122 ways to increase your average order value, 21 ways to increase your average order frequency, and 50 ways to increase retention rates. What's it worth? I don't know. Thousands, maybe. Hundreds, thousands, definitely, I would have thought. And you also get a copy of, it'll be the PDF copy, the ebook version of it. You get how to write a book. Here it is. Right? And this shows you exactly how you can write a book for your business to use as a lead generator. Books are the best lead generator in the world, as far as I'm concerned. So you also get that. I don't know what it's worth, but there we go. It's yours free anyway. So total value, I didn't want to put a number on it. It's what it is. It's what you get. And here's an extra kicker. You also get your free place at the Paid Explained webinar, which is going to take place next Friday, same time, same place, 10 o'clock British summer time, 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to spend an hour plus with you diving deeper into paid and taking one or two of the key ideas and going deep rather than the skim I've done today, and answer the questions that you send in, because by then you'll have had access to paid, which you'll find out on the thank you page of the paid site, right? So that's that. And there's the price. So to get all of those things, it's £19.99 plus P&P. And that's where you get it. Thepaidbook.co.uk. We've also got the .com, but thepaidbook.co.uk/yes. That's where you go and get that book. Or if you prefer, and I'll leave that one up, but if you prefer, you can scan that with your phone and that will take you straight to the site as well. Thepaidbook.co.uk/yes. So you've got the details of that, but here's just a thought, because I know these things can happen in life, right? If you have any problems ordering paid, then drop an email to Rachel, who you've heard talking, success@peterthomson. Look, there's no P in my surname, success@peterthomson.com. So you've got any problems at all ordering that, but that's Rachel, and it's success@peterthomson.com. Thomson like Thomson Yellow Pages. So coming back there, there's the QR code, and www.thepaidbook.co.uk. Now,
well, Peter, sorry to interrupt there. There's another question. Is there a difference of approach between selling to a single person business or selling to a large corporate?
No, there isn't. No. And in fact, in paid, I go through how I did the deal with a major insurance company, two major insurance companies, actually. And the first one paid me £250,000 for a 10-module version of my accelerated business growth system, which I personalized for them at 10 modules out of the 36 modules. And they happily paid $250,000 for that. And then another insurance company which saw that had less salespeople. They had 100 salespeople as opposed to 300 salespeople. And I did a 7-module version for them at £125,000. And it was using exactly the same ideas in paid, getting paid for value. So yes, it works when you're dealing with one individual client. Yes, it works when you're dealing with a corporate client. Simple as that. So there we are. So if you get paid, somebody says, yes, they did, which is good. So Rachel's put the link as well in the chat box for you. So I'm just going to pause for a second while you're dealing with that. I'm going to have a drink of my tea, and then we're going to bring Stephen on, and he's going to ask me these questions, which I'm looking forward to. Wow, fantastic. Right. Remember, this isn't, you're not reinventing the wheel here. These are little changes, makes a big impact, big impact. So, oh yes, I know what I was going to say. If you're overseas, and again, just like happened for me recently, I bought 3 books overseas. They were £75. I paid £50 for the shipping and handling. Because the reason I bought 3 was I bought a couple of colleagues and friends books as well. And so when you go on the paid site, when you go on the paidbook.co.uk/yes, you'll see there's an option to buy more than one. So if there's one of your colleagues or friends who's in the helping industry like we are as a professional and charges fees, maybe it make, I don't know, an ideal Christmas present, I don't know, just a gift that you could get a copy for them if you wanted to do that as well. If you're in Europe or if you're in Australia, when you go on the site, it dynamically changes the shipping and handling, postage and packing numbers, so you can see. But that's the way it is. And by the way, when you've bought the book, it'll take you to a thank you page where there's a short video of me where I've added in another extra gift for you, which I'm not going to tell you about. You get it if you go there as well, but I know that it'll be massively useful. There's a load of salt in it. Thank you, Gareth. He just got paid. I just love the ambiguity of this. He got paid. Well, I think it's time then if we swap to Stephen. So if I go to this slide here, there we've got Stephen. I need to unmute him because I've got him muted in my system. So let me unmute him. So Stephen, can we hear you?
I hope you can.
Oh, indeed we can. Absolutely we can. Rachel, can you say you can hear me and Stephen?
I certainly can.
Excellent stuff. So Stephen, over to you. I've already told people who you are. You serial book writer, you. So let's go from there.
Thank you, Peter. So firstly, I think congratulations on getting paid over the line.
Thank you.
Just wondering how that now feels to you and why this book in particular is special.
Well, I think you can tell from the color of my face that it feels exciting. I've hardly slept last night. Honestly, I'm just over the moon. We've put so much effort into it. I thought we were going to launch a long time ago. And then with all the extra stuff that Daryl and Dave and Rachel did with social media and etc., as you, in your words, to get it over the line, it feels just absolutely, I'm proud and delighted, I have to say. I'm just so happy about it. Thank you.
I thought that would be the case, and you can obviously tell from everything you've been going through over the last half hour. So one of the kind of the joys for me of being able to interview you on this occasion is clearly you take your own medicine,
Yep.
which is great to see, but also to maybe play back to you some of your own tools and put you on the spot with those.
Please do.
So you've published lots already. You know, I'm sure the world is still waiting for more from Peter Thomson and looking forwards. But let's just deal with the 4 whys.
Yep. Okay. Fantastic. Okay.
Why you?
Yep. Why me? Why this? Okay. Would you like me to go through that?
And why now? Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Do you want me to answer that in the context of the book, or do you want me to answer that in the context of how people can use it?
In the context of the book.
In the context of the book. Okay, great. Okay, so the process that Stephen's mentioning there is a little process that I developed, and I like to develop all processes, templates, and systems for the ideas I share to make it easy for someone to understand them, assimilate them, and subsequently use them so they get the benefit from them. I love ideas that are simple. So the whole idea of this bit is to say, well, why you? And when you're answering that why you're saying, who is the person who's going to be my client? And so the why you is because I believe that you are in the helping industry. If you're somebody who's here, for example, who is watching the replay of this. And so you're somebody who's helping and you solve problems, you capitalize on opportunities. And that's why this is for you. Because I believe, forgive me for saying this, you might well be undercharging for the value that you deliver. And maybe today's the day when you should get paid. Why me is the next bit. So we need to explain to people why it should be me. Well, I believe I can say rightfully that I have used these ideas. I've learned them from hundreds of people. I've interviewed 172 successful people over the years. I've created all these products. I'm still dealing with clients on a one-to-one basis, as well as groups and subscription programs and membership programs that I run. And I know this stuff works. It isn't that it doesn't work. It's sometimes people don't work it, right? So that's why it should be me. And why should it be this? Because I believe this is the critical difference that makes consultants, coaches, speakers, trainers successful. Because most people define success by this one word, and it isn't money, it's significance. And I believe we all want to be significant in life, even if it's just in our own minds. We want to get past that imposter syndrome stuff. I suffer from that. It doesn't, right? We want to get past that. And one way of getting past that is to make a big difference in the marketplace and be rightfully rewarded for it. So that's why it's this. And why should it be now? Because another day older, another day colder, as they say in sales. You don't want to miss another day when it should have been at X thousand and it's currently at X hundred. So that's why you, why me, why this, and why now when it comes to getting paid.
Lovely, thank you. One of the themes, clearly, the core theme that runs right the way through paid is the issue of value.
Yes.
And I was very struck by the figures you quoted earlier on in the meeting this morning, between the range of fees that consultants and coaches are able to charge. What is it that makes that difference that allows some people to charge at a much higher rate than others?
Stephen, I'm not going to be funny because I will answer some of it, but it is on page 3 and 112, right? But it's our own perception of our value. The way I feel it is that selling is a transfer of belief in the mind of the seller. I don't like that expression, but we'll do. In the mind of the seller to the mind of the client. Because value is a perception. And when we are not good enough, at describing the value that somebody gets from what it is that we do for them, when we don't take control of the conversation with a new client that's potentially a long-term client, then we're leaving it to chance. Michael Gerber said it beautifully, sorry, Michael E. Gerber these days, said it beautifully in the E-Myth. We need an extraordinary system that allows ordinary activity to generate extraordinary results. And therefore, if you ask people to describe a typical salesperson, they'd say, oh, tells lots of jokes, life and soul of the party, has a few beers with his mates or her mates on a Sunday night, well, Friday night. No, they're not. No, that is the furthest possible away from successful people. Successful people have a system in which they're able to plug themselves so they can be themselves. Extraordinary system, ordinary activity, ordinary people generates extraordinary results. So when we have a system in which we can plug ourselves and be ourselves, then results, they just do this. And most people don't have that. They're winging it, right? And you can't wing it. The way I like to think of it, Stephen, is if the next client you saw, the new client, potential client you saw, was going to be responsible for your income for the rest of your life, how well would you have created the agenda, the questions that you're going to ask, your demonstration of the value that you deliver, your practice of your pricing, the handling of it? You've done everything possible. That's what it does. That's what it does in Paid. It gives you all of that stuff so you can do it the best you can be. Sharon, my wife, says to me, be the best you can be. After all, who else can be?
That is so true. So how do people get to break out of limiting beliefs?
Right, fantastic question. They do it the way we do it with any belief that we have. We have to be bold enough to take one step. All right. So this could be that. Let's say, for example, you've got a consultant. A typical consultant will charge £12.50 a day, £1,250 per day. That is a common fee in the industry. I see it time and time and time again. Now, immediately, here is a shift that we can make. I fervently believe there isn't a client in the world who understands the value they're going to get who would say no at $14.95, but yes at $12.50. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So what's the difference? The difference is £245. Now, if that consultant is doing 100 days a year, 2 days a week, which is pretty common, that's £24,500 a year. 4-year period, £100,000 bottom line difference. And I tell you what happens, Stephen, is this. When we start to charge higher, we're not charging higher for the same thing. Because the more we charge, the more we step up to the plate, the more we prepare, the better we are at doing what we do, because we've put a higher price on us. We get better doing it. It's got a compounding effect. We get better, we believe, we charge more, we get better, and so it goes on. Because what we're doing, we're not. And this is in the book in detail, so I'll just touch it. We're not charging for value, even though I've used value a lot. We're actually charging for the value of the value. Now, I'm going to leave that there. That's heavily salted, as they say. There's a lot of curiosity, but we're not charging for value. We're charging for the value of the value. And I'll explain exactly how that works and how you do it.
I'm pleased you mentioned that, because that concept of the value I think is a really interesting part of the book there. So let's leave that one there. But that is
leave it lying there. You can find that out when you get paid.
Absolutely. I was surprised that, a little bit earlier you even referred to yourself a little bit as an imposter.
Yeah.
How deep is imposter syndrome for every one of us?
I think it is. I think it's there. I think everybody's got it to a degree. I was waking up in the night with my phone. You shouldn't be using your phone overnight. Going, oh, I wonder if we've done that so far. Right, I haven't done that bit yet. Right, I must make a note to make that slide and change that bit there. And then this morning, when I was up early, I went out for a walk, got some fresh air, had some breakfast, had a cup of coffee, and I'm pacing about because I'm excited, but I was nervous, Stephen. I mean, I can speak in front of 3,000 people and not be nervous. I get the buzz. Obviously, I get all the butterflies flying in formation, so I get the adrenaline going. But I don't think of it as nerves. But today, I was going, why will they believe me? I'm going, Peter, stop it, right? And I have a coin on my desk here. It's a little coin. It says "Excellence Together." It used to be from Successes. They used to do coins like this, right? And I could just anchor myself to different things. Right. When I write my goals, I write outward focus goals. It's nothing to do with me. It's nothing to do with results. Right. And so I anchored this morning to outward focus. So when I was sitting here prepping and getting ready, I just picked it up a couple of times and went, this is what it's about, Peter. It's about making a difference. Money is a silent applause for a job well done. Value delivered to others. So that's how I do my utmost to get around it, because I think it is deep and we have to work hard to get around it. But hopefully by having a process to follow, you take your mind off. Mo Gaudat, in his brilliant latest book, Solve for Happy, says that our brain talks to us in 3 different types of language. There's insightful stuff, which helps us solve problems. There's experiential stuff, which helps us do things. And there's chatter, right? And the chatter you've got to block. And that's the sort of language that talks to you about imposter syndrome. He says your brain is, I'm repeating his words, he says your brain is your duck. And occasionally you have to tell the duck to shut up. He says it's differently, but you knew what I meant. Okay, great.
Peter, sorry, I've got a question coming from Jill. If it's
Absolutely.
okay.
I think with the issue of being...
Sorry, Stephen, I think Rachel was just trying to jump in. Yes, Rach?
Yeah, so Stephen can't hear me, can he? Because he's...
But no, I'll repeat.
Yeah, Jill's asked, can you give an example of outward focus goal in terms of language used?
I will. I'll do it at the end after the interview. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Stephen, back to you.
No, I was just going to say that in terms of this imposter piece is that I think, for me, part of it is if you're going to continue to grow and stretch into new areas or new technologies or whatever else, then you're always going to have a little bit of that. And it channels in, it creates adrenaline, it creates stress. It's when it becomes overwhelming that it becomes debilitating for people. Absolutely right. And again, we've just got to remind ourselves, and one easy way, and this is a classic thing, I think many people already know this, is you sit down and I think it's better handwritten, and you write down a list. You ask yourself a question and you say, what are all the successes I've enjoyed in life? Question mark. And you start to write things down. And by the time you've written about 10, right, even if it's as simple as, I passed my driving test, I got married twice. You get whatever it is that you write down, then you say that's success. I mean, one of my successes, and I lean heavily on this, is I've been married to Sharon for 40 years. And so she is even though my name's Peter, which means rock, she's my rock. So I can lean on her in that way. So that's another way to get around that. I was really pleased that you mentioned DDWT earlier. And I just wondered if you could give us an example of a typical tosser you've worked with, obviously not mentioning their name, but particularly explore how working with the wrong people can be so damaging. Okay, and it is damaging because the wrong people, and I think everyone would know what we mean by the wrong person, is the person who is looking to catch you out, right? I have this concept, and again, I go deeply into this in Pay, right? Is that this is a philosophy of mine that runs my life, my business life. I believe this. We should learn how to sell. We have to understand the integrity-based persuasion process. We should stop selling, and we should allow people to buy. And it's so easy for me to say that in just a couple of sentences, 3 sentences. But when we get that at a visceral level, life changes completely. Because we realize that we are not allowing people to make a decision if they use us. We're making the decision whether or not we help them. Let me give you an example of this. I had a company come to see me. 2 guys came to see me from London and wanted me to do some work with the company. And they came to me. They loved what we talked about. They came to my home. We discussed it. They went away. They absolutely loved it. We booked the return journey. They were going to have a conversation. And they came back and said, fantastic. We absolutely love it. Will you come and meet the boss? And I went, oh, why? And they said, well, he's meeting 2 other people and he wants to meet you as well. I went,
I'm so sorry. I got it. I didn't realize that was the situation. I don't do beauty parades. There is only me that does what I do. There are other people who do fantastic things. They're wonderful. In fact, I knew one of the guys. Great, fabulous content, but not what I do. There is only me. And when we have the strength to do that, then we are starting to realize that we have a value in here that we share with people that changes their lives. I mean, some of the testimonials I've had to, these are life-changing differences for people. And the more that happens, and the more we charge for the value of the value, the more certain we are that we're doing the right thing in life. We're being, as Shakespeare said it, I shouldn't quote Shakespeare, but I will. And this above all, that thine own self be true. And that is a credo for my life. It really is.
Very true. Very true. So when we look at Paid as a book, I mean, there's a vast amount of stuff and ideas in here. So what are the challenges that you think people will have in picking up all of this and turning it into action and reality?
Okay. I think Michael Breen said it beautifully when he came and spoke on a seminar for me. And he said to the audience, can you cross your arms, please? And everybody went like this. And he said, okay, can you do it this way? Well, no, I've practiced that, by the way. So because people can't, right? It's that way. And he said, I saw him do this, and he said, put your hands out like this and put your hands together. He said, which thumb have you got on top? Right. And I've got my right thumb on top. He said, now I want you to take your hands apart and put them back the other way. Right. Whose hand is this I'm holding? It doesn't feel like me anymore, right? Why? Because it's habit. And there's the thing, it's the habit. We have habit ways of doing what we do. We are plugged into our extraordinary system. Whether it's a good one or not, it's still what we're doing. We're plugged in and we do it. And we've got to break those habits. And as I said before, start by taking one step. Step out the circle. If that's the comfort circle, the comfort zone, step out one. And go from 1250 to 1495 and test it once. Don't test it the whole of your life and blow your business. Test it once. And I think what you will find, I hope you will, because everybody else I've spoken to says they do, clients say yes, right? Clients say yes. And what happens to them, I'll give you an example. I was driving back from, I'd been out shopping when I lived in Leamington. And one of my clients I'd been working with for about 6 months phoned me. And he'd been charging $2,000 a day, and I'd pushed him up to $3,000 a day. And when I say pushed him, I mean I'd shown him the value he was delivering, and therefore what it was worth. And I'd said to him, his name was Graham, I said, this is step one. We have to go further than this. The difference you are making to the businesses you're dealing with, we need to have you at a minimum of £5,000 per day to reflect that value. And anyway, he understood finally, and he decided one day that he would be bold and do that. And he phoned me in the car and said, yes, I did it. And the client said, yes. And they booked me for 4 days at £5,000. And I said, congratulations, Graham. That's wonderful. I know you'll step up to the plate even more so. I said, what did you think when the client said yes? He said, I should have said higher. They said yes too easily. And people find this. Yeah. People, here's the thing. People don't believe cheap advice, right? If the brain surgeon charges you 50 quid and a bag of sausages for your dog, you won't have the operation, right? If he charges you at the squeak level, you'll go, he's the man or she's the woman. They're the person. That's the way it works. We have this, I have a book about it. Not that I wrote. I have this one about it that I wrote, but we have this inherent connection between value and price in our minds.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the book, you reference the kind of 15 reasons to write a book.
I do,
which is a great checklist. Which was your prime reason for writing Paid?
Writing Paid.
Mm.
Okay. I have my future mapped out. I know what my goals are. And I believe that people who get paid, right? I love that ambiguity. But people who get paid, right, may want to join me on a longer journey, right? But there's no compulsion to, obviously, but I believe they will. And I believe that I can help them, some people, to a deeper extent. And this really is the start of the journey, because this is so jam-packed with my ideas that I believe anybody who reads this, the 297 ideas, there'll be some in there that they'll go, well, yeah, I knew that. They go, oh, I'm not sure about that. They go, oh, wow, I can take that away. Oh, wow, look what's happened, right? And that may well indeed tighten our connection, and who knows what the future might bring. And it's my paid revolution, where a rising tide lifts all ships. One of the problems with undercharging in the marketplace with consultants, they damage the market for other people. Because people say, I can get a consultant down the road for 800 quid a day, and you want 1,250 pounds a day. Well, sorry.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that maybe surprise some people in the book is there's a piece in there where you talk specifically about don't sell one-off interventions.
Yeah.
How does that play out?
Well, it plays out because I'll give you an example of it. I was hosting for Nightingale Conant the J. Abraham events in London when he came over a few years ago. I'd been to Los Angeles and I'd seen his 3-day event. And then they did them in the UK. And, you got about 200 people in the room at £3,000 a head, right? So this serious seminar, 3-day seminar, and I used to host that and do that. And I remember a guy came up to me on the back of the room and said, Peter, I love what you've done. Will you come and help me with my business? Which I subsequently did. We've got 11 people in the sales team, but it was a pretty small business, turning 11 million. And over a 2-year period, we managed to get it with some of my stuff and other stuff from 11 to 30 million. And his name was Bill, and he asked me this, and we talked about fees. And I changed the fee rate that I was going to charge. But I said to Bill, at the start of the conversation, Bill, just so we understand where this is going, I don't do one-night stands. I'm not interested. I'm interested in long-term relational clients. I want us to get to know each other. I want to get to know your business. I want to help you over a long period of time to make certain you get to achieve the targets you've set. If that's your intent too, we can do business. If it isn't, I don't want to be doing a one-night stand. It's not me. I can go stand at a conference and speak for an hour happily, and get paid. Well, no problem at all. Although I don't actually do that these days. I only speak on my own stage, right, as it happens. But that's my thinking on it, Stephen.
Yeah. No, and it makes huge sense. It's so easy to get sucked into the one-off intervention in the hope that it might lead to something else.
Yeah, it's all about the back end, isn't it? We know with the 4 questions of business growth. How do we increase the average order frequency? It's people you already deal with, buy more of the things that you can help them with. That's increasing the average order frequency. You don't have to find a new one every time. It's hard work. You don't have to do that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'd like to put you on the spot and think a little bit about what's ahead into the future.
Yep.
So as you look forwards, what new problems do you think we are going to need to try and solve? What old problems are going to come up and become critical? And what new ways of solving them will there be? And what old ways of solving them do we need to bring back?
Oh, that's a 4-layered question, isn't it? Okay, well, I'll do a bit of it thinking about time and all the rest of it. So what new problems are there? Well, we've obviously got the problem coming up, or the opportunity with AI, right? I enjoy using ChatGPT. It works for me, but I call ChatGPT, I'm on the ChatGPT 4 because it costs $20 a month. And I treat it's anthropomorphic because I treat it as his name's Chad, and I talk to Chad and he talks to me. But it's great for bouncing stuff, right? Bouncing stuff backwards and forwards. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is wonderful. So I think there's an opportunity with AI. I do think there's an expression, it wasn't mine, but I heard somebody once say that if you're worried, don't worry that AI is going to take your job. Worry that somebody who knows how to use AI is going to take your job. Right. And so I think it behoves all of us to have some sort of understanding of how we can use that in such a way. But it presents a challenge because it's so easy to generate content that one possibility might be that the market gets flooded with AI-generated content to the point where people can't tell the difference. There are already systems where one can take AI-generated material and run it through, as you would perhaps years ago, through a spam checker for email. You can run it through for an AI checker to make sure that it doesn't look like AI. You know, that's just on the order of ethical problem for me. So that's one challenge that comes in there. And that's, I think, how we deal with it, is we remain true to ourselves. And yes, the day will come, obviously, with deep fake video. It's already here. But I think doing live things like this is a wonderful way of proving it's us, you know. With my background, the reason I have this is so that I can actually do that and take one out, because then I'm proving that it's not a picture. This is absolutely, it's for real, right? So that's one of the ways that I do that. I stopped using green screen and I started, you know, making sure I've got a real background. So what are the old problems? The old problems have been, and this is within the context of today, is people misunderstanding the value they bring to the party and therefore misaligning how they get rewarded for it. Yeah, you can't fish in a broke pond. I know this sounds about money, and you know I'm all about value, because you know me well enough, right? But you've got to, the clients don't pick you. You pick the clients. That's the thought process, and that solves the problem, because you decide who it is you can help most. And those are the people you go out to attract into a conversation. And the difference is, in my way of doing business, is I love these words: might, maybe, perhaps, right? I don't want to be too certain too soon. It pushes people away. I'm quite happy being laid back about it and saying, look, this is me. This is who I am authentically, right? If this resonates, let's do it. If it doesn't, I understand. So I think people being themselves is how you solve most of the problems in life.
I think I would just add one thing to that. One of the things that I've realized in myself, and I think it's true probably for every single person on this call, is there's a vast amount of stuff in our personal vaults that we've forgotten. You know, you referenced earlier listening to some of your past recordings and thinking, gosh, did I say that?
Yeah, exactly.
So digging back into the things that we've done in the past, I think is phenomenally valuable for all of us. So two final questions. One is really, if there was just one thing in paid that you think every one of us should action today, what would it be?
I would say, sit down and create, you like an avatar diagram, if you prefer a list or a mind map, whatever's good for you, a picture in words or pictures of your ideal client, the person you can help the best, and consider what's their biggest problem. How can you help them solve that? That would change your marketing completely.
Brilliant, thank you. So you finished the book with a book introduction that you once wrote for someone. And I think it would probably complete this interview perfectly if you were able to share that with us live. I think it's called The Forgotten and the Remembered. It
is called The Forgotten and Remembered. And in fact, I put a note in it here. I think I can probably do it off the top of my head. The situation was that a friend of mine, Max, unfortunately died just a few years ago, had written a book, and he phoned me one day and he said, would you do the forward for me? And I said, yeah, okay. What do you want me to say? He said, whatever you want. And I said, okay. And I sat down to write, and seriously, and these words came to me. I'm almost channeled, I don't know what, came through my fingers, and it was this. There is a moment in every person's life when the awareness of their destiny bursts like a bubble onto the surface of their conscious mind. It's at that moment that we avoid the realization and, tasting the bitterness of regret, busy themselves with the mundane tasks of their lives. But it's also at that moment that the strong awake and, with the tingle of commitment made, decide to change the world, their world, for the better. And by so doing, secure for themselves their rightful and valued place in the history of humankind. Seize this moment.
That's great advice, Peter. Thank you for tackling these questions so fully. For me, it's been a real pleasure to help you open up the treasure trove of paid today, and I wish you great luck with it.
Thank you, Stephen. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just mute Stephen. So there we are. Fantastic. Thank you, Stephen. That was absolutely wonderful of you. Let me just go back, if I may, in my slides a moment or two. And I'm just going to go back there and just remind everybody about these various bonuses that I've put together for you. So these are the bonuses and templates. So you get the paid template pack. So that works for you there, and all those templates, but particularly, as I mentioned to you, the client conversation document, which is an absolute must. You're going to, I don't know what these are worth. I said I'm not going to try and put silly numbers on them. So there's the documents, plus the WHAM document, which will keep you on track. 4 golden questions, 162 ways to get more clients. Wow. 122 ways to increase the average order value, 21 ways to increase the average order frequency, 50 ways to increase retention. What's that worth? Lots. How to write a book. So you actually get this book, and this book shows you how to write this book, or to write a book for your marketing, which is just fantastic stuff. What is that worth? Again, on the back of it, you know, this is what I have. I've got value priceless, price just a tenner. So that was the price that I put on it. I don't know what they're worth. And of course, you also get the webinar, Paid Explained, next Friday, 10 o'clock, which is fantastic. Looking forward to that. I'm going to go dive deep in some of the key ideas in paid. And I'm going to, if you send the questions in, you'll be getting an email about this. Then I'm going to do that for you as well. Plus, when you're on the thank you page after you've ordered paid, there's another special bonus for you as well. And all of that, £19.99 plus P&P in the UK of £3.95, or if you're worldwide, it will automatically adjust to whatever that might be. And maybe you'll even consider getting one for colleagues, maybe 1 or 2 or even 10. Why not? Let's do that. If you've got any questions at all, or you've got any problems on the site, drop an email to success@peterthomson.com, and Rachel will come back to you and she'll make sure that you get paid. So I think if we now go, I'll come back to me, and Rach,
yes, I've got a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Of
so
course.
Geraldine's asked if the people that you coach are, I think it's pretty much saying that they're employed, the organisation pays for the service. Do we then concentrate the marketing to the organisation?
Ah, right. Okay, fair enough then. I don't often work directly with people who are paid unless the organisation is paying. They're not paying personally, but yes, it's a double whammy. What happens, Rach, is that I've had this happen so often, is that I'm doing work with somebody within an organisation or a group. And not only are they learning the ideas and using it in their job, their career, their employment to help their employer, but they're also learning the ideas which they're then going to take away and use in their private life if they've got some side hustle, as it's often called, if they've got a business of their own outside of their working environment. So yes, the ideas work for everything. Now, it's just a benefit of receiving training, but it is normally the organisation that pays for it.
Yeah, okay. And Jill asked previously an example of outward focus goal in terms of
Absolutely.
the used.
I can tell you now. In fact, you know, I think you all know me well enough that I am very happy disclosing everything to you, right? Because that's the way I am. So what were my goals today? I've got them here. There you go. Here they are. Oh, you can't see that. There it is. Okay, there's my goals. So this, I'll read it to you. This is what I said, right? One of my goals for the paid launch on the 1st of September 2023, and this is handwritten, to be the best I can be at sharing my ideas to help those who see the launch to be even more successful by their own definitions of success, to be outwardly focused at all times and live in accord with my identity, my beliefs, my values, and my why, to make a positive difference in the world and promote paid with my usual honesty and integrity, and to have loads of fun. That was my outward focus goal for paid today, for us being where we are today. So I hope that gives you. Oh, we've missed some of the. We haven't done all the prize draws. So we'll do that. We'll do a run of prize draws in a moment, right? Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Good. Anything else?
Not at the moment. I've answered the others.
Okay, fantastic. Is the quantity option? I'm just going to ask David. He's here on the side. Is the quantity option on the paid?
Yes.
Right. So that's not loading at the moment. Okay. So if you've got a problem at all on paid, things aren't loading at the moment. There might be, it's just probably volume. please make a note of that and drop Rachel a message to say that you want paid or whatever is the situation you want or how many copies you want. success@peterthomson.com. Attention, Rachel, and she will obviously deal with that for you. The beauty of technology, isn't this just wonderful? So, Rachel, let me just do a couple of price draws, please.
Okay,
So I'll tell you what we'll do. We will do, I'm going to do them in a run. So there's two more. I forgot to do this, right? So there's two more of these. We'll do those twice, okay? So the first one, a person whose name begins with G.
Peter Garrett.
Peter Garrett, fantastic. I know Peter well. Excellent stuff. Next one. This is for the Kindle Fire 10-inch. Beginning with P.
Peter Johnson.
Peter Johnson, fantastic. I thought you were going to say Peter Garrett again. That's no good, okay? So then the next one is going to be, this is a session with Daryl, and he will look at your SEO strategy, if you're an SEO strategy, and he will do your 20-minute video explanation of how that can be improved. That's valued at £500. You get it now for free because you are here. And that's a person whose name begins with S.
Stuart McConnell.
Stuart McConnell, fantastic. And the second one of Darren, no, we'll do one of David. David is going to do the same thing. He's going to do a 20-minute explanation of how you can improve your website. And it'll be a video he'll send to you and have a conversation with you about that, also valued at £500. We're going to do that one now, and it's a person whose name begins with Y.
Not sure we've got anybody with a Y.
No? All right, I'm going to redo. If somebody's got a Y, better tell us. Okay, so here we go. H.
Robert Harris.
Robert Harris, fantastic stuff. Okay, and then the second one of Daryl's, so I'm going to do all of these now. The second one of Daryl's is a D.
David Lomman, Lomman.
Excellent stuff. Okay, and what Rachel, you'll give your email out again. It's I can put it back on screen. Make sure you contact Rachel about these.
Sure.
Right, she'll have made a note. And this is for the second one of Dave's, a B.
Brian Schutz, Schutes.
Schutz, okay, Brian Schutz, great name, fantastic stuff. And then one more of a session with me, and then there'll be one left, which I'll do at the very end. So this is a 1 hour session on Zoom with me, value £1,000. It's yours free for being here. Here we go. Q, is there anybody with a Q?
No.
No Quentin's, no? Okay, here we go. Then the next one, R.
Richard Phillips.
Richard Phillips, fantastic, Richard. I look forward to that conversation. So what questions have we got, Rach? And I'll do the questions, then I'll do the final prize draw.
Let me just have.
You can't have ends with Y. Oh, Andy Dobson said, can we have one that ends with Y? I thought that was too nice.
Just have a quick look through. Somebody was asking about the webinar next week, conflicts on date. Will there be a recording? Yes, there will.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will record it, and obviously we'll send it to you. So, yeah, I mentioned that. So it's anybody, obviously it's only people who get paid and actually get paid this week, because it's going to be next Friday. So there's only 7 days. And I say I'm going to go deep in there, and you can send your questions into Rachel, success@peterthomson.com, and I'll be sorting through those questions and compiling them in chunks so I can answer them all at the same time. But I've got a couple of major bits of content I want to share with you, we want to dive deep into. So yes, okay, good stuff. Everything working with the page? It's working again.
Not the quantity, but with the rest.
Not the quantity, but everything else is working. Wonderful. So if you want to get paid, fabulous. We can always send you a link later and say, do you want to buy any more for any of your friends or whatever it might be? There's no rush on that. I'm delighted that you're here and that you're getting paid and you're going to get all of those extra bonuses. Any other questions, please?
Someone asked whether we got a paid LinkedIn group. We haven't, but it's a Facebook group, which you'll get the link.
It is a Facebook group, and there's other stuff planned, which I'll tell you more about on the journey to success when I see you on Friday. The book that I mentioned by Mo Gaudat, who was a Google director, officer, is called Solve, S-O-L-V-E, Solve for Happy. A fabulous book. I've read it all. Got notes on it. I've created flashcards off my Kindle version for it. Super duper book. Solve for Happy. Yeah, you've got it. Thank you, Rach. You put that in. Okay. Any other questions?
I think that's it for now, unless anybody wants to put them in as we
Okay.
speak.
Has anybody got anything else they would like to ask? No. Okie dokie. In that case, let's do the final. Let me do the final. Thank you, Geraldine. I'm actually looking at the chat box now because I'm looking over there. Let's do the final. This is somebody who's going to get an hour with me on Zoom. I'm going to help you grow your business, make money, if that's at all possible in your business. And it goes to, I'll do it live so you can see. Oh, look, you can see my microphone there. Can't you? You can see the setup. You can see my setup in the reflection. You can, can't you? Here we go. Jay. Rach?
Janet Baker.
Janet Baker, fantastic. Janet, I am going to be having an hour with you. So here we come. Oh, gosh, I'll tell you what I need now. I need some coffee. I've absolutely loved it, guys. I'm delighted, and I've been seeing the numbers come through so that, that so many people have already said they're going to get paid. I think personally at $19.99, I believe this, and all of these various bonuses with the templates, with all the extra content, with the how to write a book, with the webinar, with me answering your personal questions on the webinar and everything else. I think at $19.99, I think that is absolutely, you've got to get paid. Oh, and by the way, wait till you see the packaging comes in. I think it's going to knock your socks off. I'll certainly be interested in your feedback when I see you on Friday. And also, and I say there's that special bonus, isn't there? That special bonus. Let me just put to that one in case you need that QR code. The special bonus as well, which you find out about in the video after you've bought paid, because it pops you over to the thank you page. And there's I think it's a 3-minute video from me that tells you all about what's going to happen next and the extra special bonus that you get. So thank you for being here. What I'd like you to do for me is this. In the chat box, right, while we're still here, here's a question. I use this question at the end of all the things that I do. Out of everything that we've covered today, and we've covered a lot, haven't we? There was a pack of 297 cards, but I dealt off a few of them, right? We discussed them. But out of everything that we've covered today, what was the one key thing? You've either learnt it because you didn't know it before, or you've relearnt it. You went, oh, yeah, thanks for reminding me. But something where you went, yes, I'm going to take it away and I'm going to use it. Please put that in the chat box so I can see it already. Oh, Tim Ramsey's there. Hi, Tim. Good to see you. Oh, wow, this is scrolling past. So, oh, John Walmsley there as well. Hi, John. Oh, a lot of my old friends are here. Lovely to see you. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Bob. Thank you very much. Thank you, Catherine. Biggest revelation today. Didn't get to take the video page. My favorite question. Okay, deluxe offering. Always DDWT. That's great from Bill. Benefit as the strap line. Allow people to buy value of the value. Just doing a quote of increase the price by 50%, John Walmsley. Let me know if you get it, please. I know you're adding value. Omar, love to have you there. Thank you for your questions. If you want to get paid, solve a bigger problem. Oh, and from Ruth, my good friend Ruth, double deluxe version, wonderful. S on the verbs from Bob. I'm going to pull out my old Achievers Edge CDs to see what I've forgotten. I think I'd better do it as well. Thank you, Roger. And Leslie, always great to have you there. Create a new success list. Picture your ideal client. People don't believe in cheap advice. Of course they don't. No, they're not going to believe the surgeon who's 50 quid and a bag of sausages, are they? Add an S to the hello, Wendy. We can send an email privately. Okay, that's Wendy. Bigger pay problem. Allow people to buy. Add more value. Was that Guy? Thank you, Guy, and thank you for that wonderful testimonial. We need to do more of that, don't we? Max, raise objections before they come up. Fantastic. Raise them and deal with them. Outward focus goal. Happy to share that with you. Ernie storytelling box. All the books and products behind you. Thank you, Ernie. And Rosie Dive. Good to see you there. Cascading impact. It's not a lovely expression, cascading impact. Belief or believe. Get rid of the limiting beliefs. Oh, Bill Walker's there. Hi, Bill. If you want a bigger pay packet, solve a bigger problem. Yeah, good friend of mine, Bill. So many great tips. Thank you. Titles using the subhead with a verb, not a command. I like it. First person imperative. No. Third person indicative with the S on. Yes, it comes with benefit. Gareth. Oh, Gareth, I was only talking about you the other day. How's things with you? I remember you saying a thing to me years ago. Slim feels better than food tastes, or something like that. You'll know the expression. And John Johnson, great to see you there as well, John. We've got a meeting coming up soon. Sue Friend, wow, hi, Sue. Even you have imposter syndrome, like I do at times. Only you can do what you do, correct? Go deluxe. I'm glad somebody's put that in. Thanks very much indeed, Paul. That's wonderful. Thank you, Jim. Geraldine, the next client, you have to go responsible for your income. How would you prepare? Thank you. Importance of accurate avatar. Bernard Pierce. Yeah, hi, Bernard. You know about deluxe and super deluxe, don't you, Bernard? Like the 4 Ys. Oh, Chris Higway. Trust, Chris. Are you still in France? Are you still living in France? I think you were the last time we spoke. Lovely to see you there. Peter Johnson. Oh, we're going to be sending you. Is it a Kindle we're sending you, Peter? I think it is. Looking forward to our next lunch. Reminder of no one-night stands. Regular exposure to this positive environment is key to re-energizing. Robin, so true. Delighted. Thank you so much. Thank you, Colette. That's lovely of you. Richard T. Hi again, Richard. 2 thoughts that affect the outcome, really. The need for contrast from Robert Harris. And Robert, obviously, we're doing that. If you want a bigger pay package, solve a bigger problem, want a bigger pay. A lot of people that have forgotten just how much Peter's teaching. I'd forgotten from Andrew S. Thank you. Answer objections before from Sally. Catherine, you want a bigger pay packet. Penny, being reminded. Thank you, Penny. That's lovely of you. Liz, value of the value. Peter Riding. Thank you for that capitalization, Peter. We should be having breakfast again soon. Long time since we've done that. Thank you. I can always come down to Oxford, can't I? Deluxe and double deluxe, several golden nuggets. Thank you very much indeed, Tony. Angie, thank you. Bernard. When can we expect to receive the book? Well, they're going in the post, but if you've seen the video, you know something else is happening. Don't know. So talk to Rachel, please. Jeremy Briggs, look at the communication program, Nightingale program. Oh, here it is. Look, it's there. That's the one, isn't it? Conversation, the power of persuasion, right? I think they've sold 35,000 copies of this. Wow, there's not a lot of it. That's right. The bubble bursting, right? Yes, Chrissy Wade. Indeed. Oh, I'm still in France. Not 100% sure. Need to write another book. Elizabeth Roddick, good to see you, Elizabeth, all the way up in Scotland there. A community pharmacist, a wonderful person. Rising tide lifts all ships. Handling objections before that. Good. Enjoying listening. Thank you very much indeed, Wendy. Right. Don't do one-night stands, right? Also useful. Wow, there's 58 more of these. I'm going to have to skim them, guys. Lovely. Thank you so much for all these wonderful comments. I'm going to save this chat and then I'm going to sit down with a nice cup of coffee and I'm going to read through and feel good. It's been a real pleasure to share these ideas with you. Thank you so much for turning up. Thank you for getting paid. I'm looking forward to the rest of our journey in life together. I'm sure there's wonderful things we can do. Look forward to seeing you on the webinar next week and hearing about all the extra successes you've had as you apply the ideas because you got paid. Pleasure to be with you. Pleasure to share these with you. And I wish you every success in all your adventures in life. From me, Peter Thomson, and the whole team, goodbye for now.